The next step is we can come up with a list of names of the corporations that are pivotal to this problem and the individuals, and we've got to put pressure to have these individuals arrested by the International Criminal Court. And this is not just black men. There will always be some black guy who's trying to feed his family, who's willing to pick up a gun and fight to feed his family. And so it's the same story with child soldiers, you know, it's a bad thing. We hate to see children with guns, but you know, the safest place for a child in the Congo, in a war zone, is with the soldiers. It's the safest place. So I'm not going to go around saying children shouldn't be picking up guns in the Congo. What I'm going to say is the U.S. military has to get out of Africa. The Pentagon is selling the Africa Command. This is not to help the African countries. It's not to protect the African people. It's to protect the American interests and the Israeli interests and the Belgium interests. Jesus, excuse me. Jesus, where are you? Because for the last 100 years on a plantation called Busira Lumame, up in Isangi, near Kisangani, we've got plantations that have been exploiting the people of the Congo. And it's happening at this very minute, in the middle of the Congo. This is not the East, which we see in the news. This is the plantations in Isangi. Busira Lumame is the name of one of them. This is controlled by a family from New Jersey, United States. Mr. Blattner. The Blattner family is involved from Kinshasa. Elwin Blattner is involved in transportation, river transport. So he controls the barges that are taking the logs and the mining equipment and the plantation commodities up and down the river. He's involved in construction. He's involved in air aviation. He's got airplanes flying around the Congo. And he's involved in weapons. During the war, he was supporting both sides when his plantation was in the middle of the war zone. So he was supporting the RCD, the Rassemblement Congolese Démocratique, is that correct? He was supporting the RCD, the Congolese Rally for Democracy. He was supporting the Forces for the Democratic, FARDC, the RDC government forces before it became FARDC back in 1998, 1999. He was supporting both sides in that war, early war. And now his plantation is controlled by the Congolese government, so he doesn't need to support the other side. And the reason he supports both sides is to make sure that they don't plunder his plantation. He doesn't want the soldiers to come and rip him off, so he pays them. And at this very moment, he pays the governor in Isangi or in Kisangani to make sure that the troops are brought in or the police are brought in if the people on the plantation protest the slavery. And the conditions on these plantations are absolute slavery. And they were the same plantations, as I said, as under King Leopold. This is very current information, but the raw materials from these plantations are palm oil, palm oil, and cocoa for chocolate bars in Belgium, and coffee, and sometimes rubber. And for example, the chocolate from this plantation, Busira Lumame, goes to Belgium, and they make these expensive chocolate bars. And I went to Busira Lumame and I took some chocolate bars with me. The people have never tasted chocolate in their life.
Never.
They've heard of it, but they've never tasted chocolate in their life. Can you imagine your children never tasting chocolate? This is injustice.
Never.
And you don't see it in the New York Times. And you will never see it in the New York Times. And if you think that you understand the way the news works, and you can, for example, you can pick up the New York Times and say, well, this looks like the truth. It's true that you're sitting in this room. And if we showed a picture of this room and we didn't show the rest of Los Angeles, people in the Congo might think Los Angeles is an amazingly beautiful place everywhere. But we know the truth is not everywhere in Los Angeles is beautiful. And that's how the media works. It gives you a piece of the story, but it takes it out of the context. And it doesn't tell you the exploiters at the top, even if they have to have somebody arrested, like Mr. Nkunda, who anyways is back at that swimming pool. So the Blattner family, They're very close to the systems of control, and they make sure that Mr. Kabila does what they want. And they're very close to Israel. And when Mobutu was in power, of course, Israel and the CIA, they had very elite mercenary forces keeping Mobutu alive. And you could find these people. We could find them and bring them to a court of law for the injustice that they committed. And this is what has to happen.